Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the main event. You're here with me, Daniel,
And Aaron.
and we've got a Group B preview podcast for the Champions League today, Aaron. Just quickly before we dive in, just a reminder for everyone to subscribe. Leave a like if you do enjoy this video, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter as well. We are at UCL Fantasy Pod, and we are working with at All About FPL, so jump on and give them a follow as well. But let's get into this because by the time these ones get released, people aren't going to have too much time to listen and actually have an effect on their team. So Atletico Madrid are the first team. They're actually currently playing whilst we record this. So I do have sort of on my phone just the updates trying to pop up. They are losing 1-0. They've just had a goal disallowed. But in terms of how the season started, it's been slow, but not too bad. They won the first game 2-1. The second game 1-0 and drew 2-2, which I believe was with Villarreal. But they were the better team. I think obviously one thing that people will want to know is who's going to be playing with these lot, because I do think quite a few people will want to go in on their defense. So Oblak is obviously the goalkeeper. I personally wouldn't go with them at 6 million when you look at the other options here. So Savic, he's played all 4 games, as has Jimenez played the first 3, but Felipe has came in today, and Hermoso has played 3 of the 4, but the game that he didn't play was because he got a red card in the opening day. So Kondogbia dropped into defence because they play 3 at the back. They play 3-1-4-2 generally, or a 3-5-2. From there, we've obviously seen a few changes in and out of the side. Kondogbia has played, like I say, the first game and then dropped to defence for the second and hasn't played since. I'm just trying to get the starting lineup up for today's game. Here we go. And he's not playing today. I think.
But he's got brought on as a sub just as you've went through that.
Yeah, lovely. Happy days. We'll see what happens. But he's fairly defensive minded anyway. Kieran Trippier, we do think is going to be the right wing back. He didn't play the first game. Just again, that's going to be with the Euros. He has played the last 2 at right wing back. Lorente and Koke look like they'll be starting in the middle. Carrasco is played up front for the first couple of games and then drops back into his normal left wing back sort of position. He's getting moved around. We talk about Carrasco a lot, and I think his biggest strength as a player is the selflessness for the team. He's constantly overworked, but I do feel like a lot of the time his attack and returns diminish because of it. So he's a great player, but for his price, I'm sure we'll talk about it later. I don't think he's that great. Lamar's been in and out. He started a few games. I think he's came off the bench today. But the interesting thing in terms of today's fixture is Correa and Griezmann are playing off Luis Suarez. Luis Suarez actually only played today and the previous game before that. Correa and Carrasco, like I said earlier, are playing up front. Correa, really interesting, has 2 goals and an assist so far, so he's got off for the bang. Suarez got a goal in the last game for his first full game of the season. Carrasco has 1 goal up front, but nothing when playing elsewhere. And just looking around, Lamar seems to be threatening a bit. He got an assist in the first game. I think he had a goal disallowed today. Just trying to find it. Yeah, Thomas Lamar had a goal disallowed for VAR today. So there's a lot to sort of dig our teeth into there. What are you thinking about Atletico Madrid?
I think obviously they've got an identity. You know what to expect when you watch Atletico Madrid, that they'll be very organized defensively. Looking at the group that they're in, obviously you've got a bit of history there with Liverpool. I mean, they've knocked each other out recently. And you kind of know what to expect when you get Atletico Madrid. So their defenders, I think, are very interestingly priced. In terms of their midfields and forwards, though, it's going to be a gamble depending on who you go for, because they have so many options. Like João Felix, last season he was probably like a go-to out of position striker. This season he hardly plays. But in terms of who the consensus seems to be and who they're going for, I think All Black is too overpriced as a goalkeeper. 6.5, I think, is ridiculous. Especially when every defender is cheaper and they have the potential for more returns. Like All Black is not going to get ball recovery points.
Or saves.
He can get saves, but if All Black's trying to stop shots, it means that Atletico Madrid are in danger.
Yeah.
But Marcus Lorente, I think, is very interesting at 6 million. Massive fan of his. And he seems to be he is the most owned player as well at 12%. So him and Trippier, I think, are interesting. But all the others have very, very low ownership. And I think that might be due to the group, but also down to the plethora of options that they do have. Some of their defenders, though, for 4.5, I think are 2 million cheaper than All Black.
Yeah.
I think that's just a good. If you got one Atletico Madrid defense, get one of them instead of All Black.
Yeah, Savage seems to be the most nailed on at the minute.
It looks like on the app he's suspended for the first game.
Is he? That's
because he got a red card when they were knocked out last season.
Yes, he did. So don't go for Savage then. For me, actually, I'd pay the extra 0.5 and go Trippier if I was going to go for anyone. Interesting that Lodi doesn't seem to get a look in anymore. He was due to be the next big thing, Brazilian left wing back. But with Carrasco now slotting in there, he just doesn't seem to be getting a sniff at the team. I agree with Lorente, and he's played everywhere. He played right back for Spain. He plays up front sometimes for these attacking midfield, centre midfield, right-sided midfield. So you never quite know what you're going to get for your money there. I would put him in the punt category, but at 6.5, it's not the worst. Correa, 7 million midfield. And he's been playing up front. I appreciate now he has sort of dropped back into playing off Suarez with Griezmann in there as well. But at 7 million, that's not bad at all. Like, I don't fancy him. I don't fancy any of these players against Liverpool, really. Porto have been solid in the past, and obviously you'll know more about Milan than me. I see this as a bit of a defensive group. I can't see there being loads of goals. And so I'm not overly interested in Suarez up front at 9.5 million or Griezmann for 10. I just think they're total no-goes. So if you were looking for a way in, obviously got Correa 7 million and Carrasco at 7 million. Pick your poison if you didn't want to go for a defender as well. So anything else on Atletico Madrid?
No, not really. I think we know what to expect from them.
Yeah, we do. FC Porto, very defensive-minded again in the Champions League. Did not concede a lot of goals at all. I think the opening game they got beat 3-0 off Man City, and then obviously they got beat 3-2 off Juve in the knockouts. But between then, it was clean sheets galore for them. I think every game in the group stage after that first game was a clean sheet. Arguably in a much tougher group this time. And they have only kept one clean sheet at the start of the season. So they play a 4-4-2. They've won 2-1, drawn 1-1, won 3-0. And last night they played Sporting Lisbon, another Champions League team, and drew 1-1. Costa is the goalkeeper. Mario or Neto Lopez, he's got a couple of names. I think he's known as João Mario on the app. He's the right back, even though, and I don't think I've ever seen this in my life, he's a forward on the game.
Man, that's way off, isn't it?
Like, I'm on a double check, but when I was looking through, I've written on my notes forward, ha 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 ha, because he's not even a right wing back. He's a right back in a 4-4-2. I'm just going to search
Yeah,
Porto
he is.
while I go through it. Yeah, you having a look? Yeah. So that is, I've never seen that in my life. A forward on a game that plays in defence. Mbemba and Pepe are the centre backs. Manafa played the first game at left back. Marcano has played every game since. So I think that's a reasonable assumption that he is the left back. Marcano also got a goal in the 3-0 win. Pepe got an assist in that one. Right side of midfield is Otavio. He has 1 assist this season. In the middle, they have Costa and Uribe. Uribe has 1 goal as well. I'm sorry if I've butchered his name. And really interesting, Diaz, left-sided midfielder, has 2 goals and an assist in his 4 appearances. So he seems to be hot in form. Martinez played the first 3 games up front. He got 2 goals in the first game and then blanked in the next 2. And was then replaced by Corona last night against Sporting Lisbon, who got an assist. Corona. Interimi's played every game up front. He has 1 goal and 1 assist. Our little legend from last year, 6.5 million forward, wasn't he? And he got us a couple of goals. So I was very, very happy with him. What do you make of FC Porto, Aaron?
Interestingly, with their group, like last year, they really impressed with their games against Man City. Like, I think they drew 0-0 and then lost 1-0 in the other game. But either way, it was very, very tight games. And arguably in that 1-0 loss, they should have won.
Against Man City last year?
I thought they were in that group, weren't they?
Yeah, but I'm sure they got shafted 3-0.
Could have.
In the very, very first game. They drew 0-0 the second game, though.
Yeah, actually, no.
Was it 3-1? I think Diaz scored. Sorry, FC Porto fans. I think it was 3-1 because I think Diaz scored, and then I'm sure did Aguero not score a pen? I can find that information out. You keep talking about FC Porto, and I'll find out what the scores.
Either way, the 2 games against Man City, they impressed.
Yes, they did.
And in that loss, they were the better team for the majority until Man City got. I've just looked up there 3-1. Yeah.
3-1.
So they were the better team until Man City started to get the goals later on. Obviously, that tends to happen with Man City, is that you'll do really, really well, and then all of a sudden, because you get tired and complacent, just the way that they relentlessly pass around you, they did really well. I think this group collectively is more difficult, but the standard of opposition that they faced last year was probably better. I think Liverpool, not last year's Man City's level, and Atletico Madrid, not last year's Man City level. So I'm quite excited to see what they'll do, because we know that in Portugal, I don't think I can't remember how far they got into the competition, but I believe, if I remember correctly, that they didn't concede any goals in Portugal last year, except from the last knockout game, and that was only the one.
It was for Juventus, yeah. I disagree in terms of the difficulty of the group. I agree that Man City are better than these teams. But in terms of the other 2, I can't remember. Was it Rennes and Olympiacos or something like that?
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not saying that last year's group was more difficult. I'm just saying that Man City, if Man City were in this group, we would comfortably probably put them first. Collectively, this year is tougher, because you could put any of these teams in last year's group and they would be battling out for second with Porto.
Yeah.
So we've seen what they can do against better opposition, Man City. And so I'm hoping that they can do another good account of themselves for this year. So
let's look at some of the players and their price points. Costa, 4.5 million goalkeeper. If they perform like they did last year, then he could be an absolute bargain at 4.5 million. I don't think they're going to keep as many clean sheets. I think maybe against a team like Atletico, who look occasionally a bit toothless. But you'll have to tell me about AC Milan. You're an AC Milan fan. I think Liverpool will score past them. But for 4.5 million, they'll probably get some save points as well. So I actually think he's a nice pick. Just depends on how it falls in line for the Tuesday, Wednesday fixtures. Diaz at 7.5 million. I don't think it's bad at all, considering his form. And like I say, I'm sure he was the player that scored against Man City last year. So he is in form. He's 0.5 million cheaper than Sporting Lisbon's attacking playmaker, Gonçalves. So, yeah, I think he could be a really, really good differential for people looking that way. I wouldn't go for any of those. Otavio, I wouldn't go for their penalty taker, whose name escapes me now.
Oliveira.
Is it Oliveira?
Yeah.
Yeah. He hasn't been playing, so I'd avoid him. I don't know who the penalty taker is when he's not on the field. Martinez hasn't done enough for me, but 6.5, you kind of expect that. Marcano at left back, 4.5 million. Again, another good defensive option if you want to wait into the defense. Taremi's too much now at 7.5. I don't think he's as hot as what he was last year with just a 1 goal, 1 assist. Because last year he was on a run of scoring a 7-8 games consecutively or something ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And he was $1 million cheaper. So I think form-wise, I still think you'll grab a couple of goals in the group stage if you are looking for sort of a mid-priced forward, 7.5. It's not cheap. It's not expensive. Is there anyone that's taking your fancy, catching your eye?
Not than what you've mentioned. Obviously, Oliveira was great last year, but I think he was 6.5. He's 8 now, but I think what you said, the goalkeeper, because Mark Hazen was great last year, just really, really well, and obviously he is injured now, requires surgery, so he's going to be out for some time by the looks of it. You don't normally have surgeries mid-season unless it's like serious. So, 4.5 million goalkeeper, plays on the second day. So that's along with Ajax's group. So you could, if you didn't want one of them, I mean, how many clean sheets could they get this group time around? But it's another 4.5 million keeper, which it seems to be the kind of way to go this season.
Yeah. Let's jump into Liverpool. We don't need to talk about these for too long. They've won 3-0, 2-0 and drawn 1-1 against Chelsea. They play today against Leeds. We don't have the team news yet. Alisson, as everyone knows, is the goalkeeper. Trent is the right back. Matip and Van Dijk have played every game at centre-back. Tsimikas played the first 2 games at left-back whilst Robertson was injured, and he came back in against Chelsea. In terms of attacking returns from this lot, Trent and Tsimikas have an assist each. In midfield for that first game, it was Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, James Milner, and Naby Keita. That sort of changed for the second game. They weren't great in that first game. I know they won 3-0, but they were a bit laboured through midfield. It was the Salah show. He was absolutely phenomenal in that game. Henderson, Elliott, and Keita played the second game. And then in the most recent game, Elliott, Henderson, and Fabinho. So I think that is probably their strongest midfield 3 at the minute. Salah, obviously right wing. He currently has 2 goals this season and 2 assists. One of them was a penalty, so he is the penalty taker. Unless James Milner's on the field, and then flip a coin, it's more than likely Milner, but I'm not too sure. Jota has been playing up front for the first 2 games. He has 2 goals. Firmino played the last game but got injured and got subbed off after about 20 odd minutes. And Mane is the left winger. Mane has 1 goal this season. I think this is one of the easiest teams to predict. I'm not sure if Kanate is fully fit yet. He's the new centre-back. And same with Joe Gomez, just in terms of match fitness. So Virgil van Dijk's going to be absolutely nailed on. Matip would be the rotation risk, and he does suffer quite a few injuries. So I can imagine Klopp giving another player an opportunity to play there. But your opening game, sometimes you want to play your best team, get your 3 points, and then you can start messing around. And this isn't a group where you can really afford to be messing around, I think, with how tough these teams are. Do you have any Liverpool assets at all?
I remember Alexander-Arnold and Robertson last year. They absolutely milked ball recovery points on top of their attack and returns. Like it was them two at the top of the defender charts for ages. And they kept just proving us wrong. So I'm scared to say that they'll leak goals and stuff because for some reason, whenever it got to Europe, they were just unstoppable.
Yeah.
Just ball recovery points. So I've got Alexander-Arnold in my team. I'm going back and forth on Salah because obviously premium forwards and with Salah, it's quite kind of difficult. Obviously, the advantage that he has is that he'll get an extra point for the goals that he scores. But I think Jota is interestingly priced as that third striker because Firmino's definitely injured, I think, for the next 2-3 weeks. And I think against AC Milan, he could do quite well. So as a third striker option, if you can't find the 0.5 to get Depay or someone like that, you could go a little cheaper and get Jota, who's pretty much guaranteed for that first match day at least.
Yeah, I like Jota, but he's a forward on the game, isn't he? He's not a midfielder, unfortunately. If he was a midfielder, he'd be straight in again. And it's right that he's a forward because he is a forward. Salah's just a pretty penny, isn't he? 10.5. Is that how much he is? 10.5? 11? 10.5. He's 10.5. Got it, yeah. You're right. I'm petrified of Trent and Robbo because we wrote them off last year because defensively in the league they looked shocking. I know they've only conceded 1 goal this year, but Burnley created a few chances against them. Norwich created a few chances against. I cannot believe Norwich didn't score. That save by Alisson was an absolute worldie. But it's Groundhog Day. This is what we were saying last year. And then the waltz into the Champions League kept a lot of clean sheets. And you're right, Trent and Robbo, ball recovery magnets. They are the same price. Go Trent. Just go Trent between the two of them. I appreciate Robbo's on equal amounts of corners and indirect free kicks as Trent, but Trent is also on direct free kicks. And you never know when one of them is going to fly in.
I think as well, in terms of the tactics of attacking Liverpool, you're not going to attack Van Dijk's side. You're going to try and avoid that and go down the left side, which means that Trent Alexander-Arnold has the potential to get more ball recovery points because just in terms of tactics, trying to get at Liverpool's backline, people always try and expose him. So,
yeah, the other thing that I've noticed as well is his position's changed in terms of trying to get on the overlap or dropping back to blindly knock a ball into the box. It's very frustrating sometimes watching Trent play because he tries the same cross over and over and over again. It's too early. And obviously he's an unbelievable deliverer of a ball into the box. If you wanted someone to just put it on the money in the modern day, other than, De Bruyne, he's the one that you want. But it just sometimes it's that decision making on when to cross it. But Klopp's changed that. He is now coming inside. He's underlapping. And that has given him opportunities to have more shots, to play more intricate passes into the likes of Salah. If you look at his assist against Burnley, it wasn't a cross. He was very, very comfortably far infield. So I like that. I like that he's playing kind of as a right back for the ball recoveries and as an inside right attacking midfielder when he is trying to bomb on. Obviously, he can go down on the outside and whip balls in, but it's more feathers to his bow, which is only going to improve him as a footballer and an asset. So I really like Trent. I wouldn't go Van Dijk for 6. He can score, of course he can. He's Van Dijk. I think Matip's looked a little bit more dangerous in the Premier League at 5 million. I think they'll both be good for ball recoveries, but I'd rather just pay 0.5 and go up to Trent.
Mm-hmm. I've just read a stat with in terms of like the Leeds preview that Liverpool are unbeaten in 33 games that Matip and Van Dijk have started together.
They're an amazing partnership, the pair of them. It's just obviously Matip's injuries, how consistent they are. And I mean, Van Dijk's wasn't a consistent injury; he just got absolutely smashed. But beyond that, like that's not going to be something that recurs and reoccurs and reoccurs. Whereas Matip is always in danger. Yeah. I do prefer Matip and Van Dijk over Van Dijk and Gomez. Should we talk about AC Milan, your team, your boys?
Yeah, let's go for it. Obviously, they play later today as well, so we don't have their starting 11. But they've got a few people coming back from injury, which is obviously great news for a couple of them. I guess, do you want to say what you were going to say about them in terms of like their recent form in that?
Yeah, it's really easy. For the opening 2 games of the season, they played the exact same team. They play a 4-2-3-1. They've won 1-0 and 4-1, so that's a good start. 2 wins. Mainan, is that how you pronounce his name? Mainan is the goalkeeper. Calabria is the right back, has 1 assist. Simoncher and Tomori are the centre backs. And Theo Hernandez is the left back. He has 1 assist as well. So 1 assist each for the full backs. Tonali and Krunic are the double pivot. Tonali actually has a goal. Salamakers is the right-sided forward. Diaz playing in behind the striker. He has a goal and an assist, Diaz, in those 2 games. Leao has played the left-sided winger forward, however you want to call it. He also has a goal. And Giroud is the striker, and he has 1 standard goal and 1 penalty goal. Go, Aaron. Fill your boots.
So this isn't the full strength team that they've been faced, like that they've been playing. I think in terms of people to target, obviously Ibrahimovic is going to come in at some point. I think he's pretty much in training now, and I believe he'll be on the bench. It might be too soon, but he's close to a return because obviously he had surgery over the summer, which made him miss the Euros. But Giroud has done really well to kind of... That's what Milan lacked a lot, was when Ibrahimovic wasn't there, they were kind of toothless. Leao did an okay job, but he just wasn't that... It's kind of like a Luis Muriel, where he's kind of like a super impact sub. More so, that's where he's better suited. Frank Kessie, who I was very excited about in the live stream, he got injured because of the Olympics, but he is back now and may start today's game against Lazio, which would be great.
He's a double pivot player, is he? Is that where he'd play?
Yeah, so he would play instead of Krunic, but Tonali has performed really, really well so far this season. Good young player, so he's someone... If it might be too soon for Kessie, Tonali seems really good as well in that pivot, getting a lot of ball recoveries, but he's also comfortable on the ball. Kind of like a younger Locatelli that we saw in the Euros. So Diaz, I think, and Salamakers, they're quite interestingly priced for being very advanced players. 6 million for both. So Diaz, especially Real Madrid fans will know him. He was on loan to us a lot. But in terms of like the players to target who would help benefit, because this is a very tough group, obviously AC Milan being in pot 4, I think Hernandez's battle against Salah is going to be very interesting, because Hernandez is very, very attacking, but so is Liverpool's right side. So the battle on who's actually going to have the space to attack, I think is going to be very interesting. Jordan Henderson is going to have to play a key part in that game, because if Salah and Trent are too far up the field, Hernandez's pace is going to really give AC Milan an outlet to attack. So I think that's going to be really interesting. I'm not sure who's going to play right back. Calabria has come in, but obviously we've just signed Florenzi as well, and we know how attacking he is.
Yeah.
So Hernandez or you could probably go for one of the defensive mids. Kessie, if he's fit, goes straight into my team because he was the penalty taker last year. Giroud is a bit, he might be taking it, and it also could be Ibrahimovic, but Kessie's taken them while they've been on the pitch before. So, depends on how hungry Ibrahimovic has been for goals. But
Kessie, 5.5 million. So he's very affordable. And yeah, if he is the penalty taker, then that seems like a real bargain. 7% of owners have Bakayoko.
Yeah, he's just been signed. I don't know where he's at in terms of his preparation. The only thing that'll give us a clue into that is whether he starts today. Because he started 2 seasons ago, every game for AC Milan, but that was when Gattuso was the manager. So I don't know if he would come in. If he does start, that's great because he did really well. Him and Kessie as the double pivot were really, really good together.
I'm interested in Florenzi being 4.5 million if he plays today. If it looks like he's going to get the start because he is very, very attacking, and would he be on free kicks?
Potentially, Salamakers normally does. It depends on if it right foot or left foot, but Salamakers, Diaz, or Hernandez could all be people on the free kicks. But Florenzi's ability on direct, like just outside the box, in terms of taking a shot, he could well be up there.
Do you think Diaz is a good pick for 6 million, or would you go Salamakers, or would you not go for any of them? I've not seen much of these boys play, but Diaz with 2 attacking returns in 2 games looks nice.
Between the two, I would go with Diaz over. The only person who can really remove Diaz from that place would be Rebic if he's fit. But Rebic has really struggled with injuries. When he plays, he's great, but it's just that consistency. Diaz impressed so much on loan last year that we went and bought him. We activated that option to buy. So, great young player, has a great potential. I would go with him over Salamakers because with Salamakers, he's often a rotation, not rotation, but he's often one of the first people subbed to try and make room for Liao, like I said, who comes on as a super sub.
What's your feeling in terms of how the group's going to go? What's your 1 to 4?
I think Liverpool will top the group. I think Atletico Madrid will come second. And then, unfortunately, I think that AC Milan, I want them to get up there, but it's going to be very close between them and Porto. But I can't be excited for them to come back and then back them to finish 4th. So my prediction is that they'll be 3rd, but I don't know how realistic that is. It's a tough group.
It is tough. I'm gonna say Liverpool will finish top as well, and then I think it could honestly any of them could finish anywhere really. This has got to be the hardest group to predict in terms of 1 all the way to 4. But I feel like I need a hot take. We've been agreeing with each other too much, and I feel like if there was ever a group for a hot take, this is probably it. Other than me claiming that Bruges were going to finish top, out of blind love for them, I'm going to say hot take: Porto will finish 2nd, AC Milan will finish 3rd, and Madrid will finish last.
Wow,
how's that for a hot take? Do not put any bets on that. I just feel like with this group, anything could happen. So for prediction, I may as well have a bit of fun with this one. Mm-hmm. Like, who cares? I think it's going to be such an interesting group and arguably the most tactical group. I also think it's going to be one of the least entertaining groups in terms of individual games. I don't really know much. I'll be honest, I don't really know much about how Milan are playing these days. Obviously, I saw them play against Man United, and I'm sure they played better than Man U, but got knocked out. They should have went
through. Got that goal disallowed for no reason.
Yeah, it was that Kessie was it that scored it. So yeah, I've got a little bit more faith. If they can perform like that again, like they did against Man United, I don't see why they can't beat some of the teams, because I just think they've got some players that are a bit fearless at this stage, whereas other teams might be a little bit too negative, and that's what I want. I want fortune to favour the brave, and I think Milan and Liverpool are going to be the two bravest teams in this group. I can't see Atletico Madrid being anything but solid defensively and hard work. And speaking of Madrid, they are now winning 2-1 against Espanyol. Carrasco scored and then got an assist for Thomas Lemar. So Carrasco is looking tastier and tastier. Obviously, it's because I said when he plays left wing back, his attacking returns diminish because he does too much work for the team. Well, I mean, that is one way of doing too much work for a team, isn't it? Getting a goal and assist. I wish he was a defender.
Yeah, that would be really nice. But Milan, last thought on Milan is that we finished second last year in front of Atalanta and in front of Juventus. And so far this year, performing better than them again. So if you're thinking that Atalanta are still a really strong team, or even Juventus, Milan are a better team than both of them. So if you think that Atalanta could perform better in this group or Juventus, AC Milan are the better team out of them right now. So it's a good way to look at it.
Interesting. That is a really good way of looking at it. Aaron, we'll wrap this one up. Thank you so much, as ever, for jumping on. And we will see you next time for our final group preview. Take care now. Bye.